test it, and it looks to me like that is loaded. That looks pretty well loaded up there. And I don't know. It seems a little bit unsettling, but it is what it is, right? Isn't that what they would say? What the majority of people say, it is what it is. They got to do it. I don't know. I don't think that they should be like flying this, with all these little accessories on it, right directly over the populated areas. I mean, we are talking about Nevada, right? We're talking about a state that has so much open, uninhabited, excuse me, space that there was no reason why they needed to fly this right directly over our location for the little test that they were doing yesterday up to the north. There was no reason why they would, you know, they didn't have to. I mean, we are talking about Nevada, okay? We're talking about all of this open space out here, right? And I think it's curious. I mean, we already know that they've been doing these underground tests for decades. They've never really stopped doing these tests out here at the nuclear test site. But the planes that were doing their exercises and stuff last night, they were off over in this direction here. They were more off over by Delamar was where the one came over and did a little loop right over in here. And they were running their loops and doing their stuff over in this direction here on this side of the valley to the north. So they weren't over here by the regular national security site where everybody, I'm sure everybody's already seen all these little craters and everything that look like the moon, coincidentally, right? So where they were doing their test last night, up in here running the loops, and there was another one too. There was a B703 that was doing loops over in this direction as well, over by Beatty. It wasn't by the test site, but that Raider 36, and now this is the line that I had done to measure the distance. We're down here about 100 miles from the national security site. Okay, it's a little bit of a distance, but when they do test these underground systems out here in these little projects, that energy flows out underground, and a lot of it will dissipate. But I've done so many videos on it before. I'm not going to be that repetitive, but I'll just say that when that energy finally makes its way down through here underground, eventually what little bit of it that's left does, continue to settle and shake the valley. And down here by Henderson, where we're at, we've got the Black Mountain here, and then we've got the Lake Mead foothills. And then there's just this little mouth here that feeds out into Arizona. And when that energy does finally make its way down here, granted, it's a smaller amount of energy that flows that makes its way down through here eventually. But I can feel that, bouncing back and forth between these hills. And here in Henderson, we're sinking. When I'm down here at ground level at the east side of the valley, when I first got here, the strip off in this direction here right down here is where the strip is, wasn't really visible. I could get on one of the park benches down here in this side, on my tippy toes and look off in that direction, and I could just barely see the top of the Ferris wheel when I first got here, like 6-7 years ago. Now, I can see the Las Vegas Strip from ground level down here. So we're sinking down here in Henderson, and we have been. And every time that I feel them energy flows down through here, it feels like we're on a little body of water, like I'm just kind of floating back and forth. And it's very faint. And, we're sinking down here in Henderson, folks. It doesn't seem to be some kind of a gradual subsidence anymore. Since I got here anyways, it seems to have, sped up. But these tests that they do to the north absolutely affect that. You may think that it doesn't because it's so far away and they do them underground and everything, but that energy, they can't control all of that energy that flows out all the way around every time that they, pop something off underground. That energy flows out all the way around, and it continues to flow out. Even though there's all these hills and all of these obstacles and stuff that, cause it to bounce back and forth and attenuate it, so to speak, it still makes its way down through. And we feel it down here sometimes. At least I do. And there's been a couple of times when it's moved the house when it's noticeable. But as far as this thing flying over, if you look at the direction where it flew over, this little line right here is a line from Henderson up to the test site. And when this plane here, not that one, but oh yeah, this was the shot of where they were doing their tests. You can see they were up here doing their tests, and the nuclear test site is over here by Beatty area. So whatever they were doing over here, it wasn't related to the nuclear test site anyway. But that Raider that came through, that Raider 36 that came through, this, you can see the path. It's headed right up towards that direction. And this sucker was loaded up. I'm just saying. With all this open space out here, did this really have to fly right over like our location and fly right over the Las Vegas Strip? Was that really necessary? We got all of this open space out here. Why couldn't it have gone just a little bit to the east and gone over all this unpopulated area? It had to come right directly over our location because according to the flight tracker, it came right over our location here. So, and I don't trust these people anymore. Not this current regime anyway. I don't really have a lot of trust in this current regime, folks. And I'm allowed to say that without fear of persecution, without fear of any level of retribution. I should be allowed to say that I don't trust this current regime and this current military. And for them to just take the liberty the other day, we're just going to go ahead and fly this one over. This isn't the first time. This is like the third time now that I've captured one of these military planes flying over that looks like it's fully loaded. Do you really have to fly that right over our location? You couldn't have gone out and around, right? That looks like it's loaded to me, folks. I'm just saying, it looks like it's loaded to me. And I don't consent. It makes me unsettled. Looks like that is loaded. And you can see right there, it says 277 Marines. And on the flight tracker, you can see that's what that was. There's the registration, 170277. Yeah. 277 Marines. I don't consent. It unsettles me in more ways than one. And as far as like the nuke testing and stuff, the fact that it's making its way into the mainstream news is very interesting to me because it's not anything new. Most people that live out here in Nevada already know that they've already been doing these subcritical tests and these underground tests for decades. They've never really stopped doing the underground testing. But the fact that it's making its way into these mainstream headlines where, Russia puts world on red alert as satellite shows increased activity at nuclear sites. Russia accuses U.S. of nuclear testing site activity. Well, I could tell you the other night, what I documented on the flight tracker radar wasn't going on anywhere near the official national security site. It was going on the opposite side of the valley up there. U.S. set to begin underground testing of aging nuclear weapons stockpile. I mean, what is the purpose? What is the purpose? And if I had not, captured this little, event with my own eyes and seen it and documented it, where I'm actually seeing this, military plane, it looks all white to me, flying over, looking like it's got these, accessories, we'll call them. I got to question, is it a little bit more than just a news headline? And what was the purpose of flying this right directly over the valley? I mean, is U.S. preparing nuclear tests in Nevada what we know? They've been doing it for decades, though. That's the thing. They've still been doing it. I'm just saying they've never really stopped with underground testing out here, folks. I'm hoping more people know that it's not new news, but the fact that it's making news into the headlines is interesting. And then, we had all kinds of sniffers running around over here too. So I have to question why you have to fly this right over our house. I don't like it. And I just don't know what else to say other than This is unsettling. And seriously, it wouldn't matter what president or who was in charge of that non-white house. I would still not trust this, because it's not necessarily the civilians and our military institutions that are responsible for everything that has gone on around the world, and for the reasons why I don't trust this current administration and this current military. Because there's been a lot of stuff been going on that would suggest that this current military does not serve the purposes of we the people here in the United States of America. And if the world government decided that Las Vegas was just a waste of space, sin hellhole city, that they could spare it, I fear that our military wouldn't hesitate for a second to just drop one of these motherfuckers right on top of us. And then who would they blame? I'm guessing it would be Russia, but it could be China too. I'm just saying. I don't trust them. And I don't have to. That's the beauty of being in this fucking country. And to anyone serving in the military, I don't. No disrespect. No disrespect. You wanting to serve in the military is admirable. But when you look at the track record of how our military has been pretty much taken over by globalists who do not have America's best interest at heart, but in fact a globalist interest in mind, you need to remember who exactly it is that you take an oath to when you choose to serve. Just saying. This doesn't belong over the public theater unless we're at war. And if we're at war, just come right out the fucking say it. Get us under martial law. Just do your fucking dirty shit like you want to do and get it over with so that we can recover and move on. I'm fucking sick of the threat. I'm tired of the threat. I've only been on this planet 50 fucking years, and I'm tired of this threat of nuclear annihilation. I'm tired of people pretending that they're not all fucking in on it, that the world leaders aren't in on all this fucking bullshit, and they all come to the decision on who can and cannot be sacrificed and who's worthy of being, spared. No, this military here that we have is a globalist military, and I don't trust a globalist military, and I don't have to. Because I'm repetitive, I gotta say it again. This does not belong over the populated public theater.